Alo lava le soifua I langi ma, o lo ingo Lefaoali'I Dion e Enari, o te saung mai le ngu o le pā, vaiala, malai la, ngofoali'i, ma sāfunge I ne motu a sala a whai. Tā alofa, tā alofa, tā alofa lava. Yeah, our cultural identity is extremely important for us as Pasifika because it's a royal lineage. It's what connects us to our motherland. It's what connects us to all of the amazing cultural treasures and all of the amazing knowledge that we're inherited to, that was gifted to us. Maintaining and nurturing our cultural identity abroad is extremely important for, if we don't know where we come from, we really won't know where we'll be going. In terms of our cultural identity, these are gifts, these are tools in helping us move forward wherever we go in life. It helps anchor us within the world. It helps anchor us in knowing our kofi and knowing our position within the world. And failing to know your cultural identity would result in a lot of people falling into internalizing negative stereotypes about us that mainstream society already have. By having your cultural identity, you clearly understand your competitive advantage and what your culture has that Western society does not provide. Interesting, in terms of our youth, when I look at Pasifika success, much of the research and much of my personal experience within communities shows that many of the successful Pasifika youth are generally the ones who are well grounded within their culture. So they understand clearly where they come from and they understand clearly the power of the knowledge systems of our cultural inheritance, and they're able to use that to navigate whatever system they're in. An example, there's many Samoan professionals who use the skills of Samoan oratory in how they present professionally and how they work in the professional field. So it's just extremely important. I cannot emphasize enough just how powerful harnessing our cultural identity and our cultural knowledge in the Western system is. It's our competitive advantage. One of the quotes that I draw much inspiration from is from His Royal Highness Tuia Tua Tupua Tamasese Efi, which reads, "I am not an individual, I'm an integral part of the cosmos." In terms of identity, I just believe for us as Samoan and for us as Pasifika, our identity is within the collective. So and it's relationships. So it's our relationship to each other as family. It's our relationship to the land as Mother Earth, and it's our relationship to the langi as heaven. And just having everything in harmony, I genuinely believe that's where our identity stems from. For us as Pasifika, it's really important for us to see ourselves within the pipeline. So it's very empowering for Pasifika to see their own knowledge systems in, because it's who we are. We're not white, we're not Palangi. So when their Pacific, their Samoan way of learning and engaging is nurtured, it's extremely powerful. So examples, us as Pasifika, we always learn collectively. We learn in doing, we learn through praxis, we learn in participating in events. It's through participating in events such as fa'alavelave, funerals, that we gain knowledge. Our culture is a living culture. It's not a dead culture just relegated to the textbook. It's a constant living and breathing culture that we learn through engaging in. So I fight for, and I believe it's extremely important that Pasifika people must be reflected in the curriculum in order to empower them, because it's who we are. So and this fight that I had, it's completely useless to have languages like Japanese and German taught in schools like Woodridge with high Pasifika populations. Our Pasifika languages and indigenous languages should be at the forefront of schools with high Pasifika and indigenous. The power of colonialism within the education system and trying to whitewash us is very real. So us as Pasifika have a responsibility and a duty to ensure that we disrupt that, we shake that, and we erase the colonial stink and the colonial stigma within the education system. such as ensuring that we see ourselves reflected in a lot of the materials we learn. So there's a lot of great work by a lot of Pasifika teachers that are starting to get rid of books like To Kill a Mockingbird and Eurocentric books, and instead implementing Pasifika books that are more applicable and are more relevant to Pasifika student lives. So I really advocate for learning of Pasifika languages and just Pasifika ways of learning in a Western school system. It's extremely important. And not only is it important for our own Pasifika people, but I believe non-Pasifika Australians would also benefit from seeing our non-Pasifika people will also benefit from seeing the competitive advantages of our cultural practices. Those Pasifika who have Samoan and Tongan ancestry, or Tongan and Māori ancestry, are extremely blessed that they're entitled to all that ancestral gift and all that ancestral knowledge. And it's absolutely important if you can trace, if you're a person who has both Samoan and Tongan ancestry, to draw upon both knowledge systems, because they're both extremely powerful. You have more tools to navigate the Western society. I believe a lot of the Pasifika youth, it's very important for them to start learning the language. I believe that the only way to see the Pasifika lens is to speak the Pasifika language more. So there's many insights that you will gain as a Samoan if you speak the tongue of the Samoan language. I totally believe it's through reclaiming our language. That's a political form of resistance against the colonial stink that we've been put in. I also believe having a personal connection back to our whenua. So I'm a big believer in the transformative power of, if you're Samoan, going back to the land. If Samoa was our motherland, which she is, then we as her children have a responsibility to go and know her and protect and defend her. So us in the diaspora, as diaspora Samoans and diaspora Tongans, have a duty and responsibility to go back to the islands and have a personal connection. I believe through there, you'll come out far more empowered to navigate the Australian context and the rest of the world. Oh, colonialism is alive and well. The fact that there are still non-Pacific people commentating on Pacific affairs goes to show just how entrenched colonialism is. It's a total constant fight. Until we have 100% language, until we have 100% of Samoans speaking Samoan, 100% Tongans speaking Tongan, and until the negative stereotypes are fully erased, colonialism is still alive and well within our lives and within society today. So the work will forever be ongoing, and it will be ongoing far beyond our lifetime. Colonialism is far from dead for us. Like I said, the fact that large Pasifika schools are still being taught Japanese and German instead of indigenous dialects and Samoan and Tongan just shows the extent of colonialism today. So colonialism is really, really bad, because we still have a lot of non-Pasifika people trying to override and speak over our narrative. So there's a lot of Pasifika events that happen, but in Western society, a lot of them are not validated unless a white anthropologist comes and commentates on that. So we really need to change that narrative around and really start taking ownership and controlling our story. Once we control our narrative and our story and control and implement our knowledge systems amongst our people, may the decolonizing process really truly start in earnest. All the battles of decolonizing and claiming our space, acts of correcting people that mispronounce our names, our ancestral names that have long legacies, and Matai names that are extremely important, correcting non-Pasifika on how to pronounce them correctly. Those are small steps. Having Pasifika, Samoan and Tongan people such as rugby players and music artists and actors start to speak our languages within a mainstream setting and normalizing our languages in a predominantly Western space. A lot of these decolonial initiatives are extremely important because it shows not only can Pasifika be successful, but Pasifika can be successful in a Western setting as Pasifika. We don't need to turn around and be fake and be someone we're not. We're able to use our Samoan and our Tongan culture within a Pālangi setting. So yeah, it's a constant process that will take a really long time, but is well worth it. Pasifika people today are in an extremely important position. It's through our parents' sacrifices from the islands that we are here today. Because we are here, we've been privileged the honor of coming to Australia via our parents' blood, sweat and tears. We have a responsibility and a duty to do well here in Australia, not only for the sacrifices of our parents, but for the other Pasifika youth that are coming up. I believe we have an obligation and a duty, having been privileged to come here and having navigated here. I believe we owe it to our younger siblings generation and our kids generation to give them a better, more Pacificified Australia than the one that we inherited today.